Title: The Millionaire Farmer's Secret, revealed as an embarrassed 18-year-old girl becomes his bride. Chapter 1: The Mysterious Beginning. From the very first moment, an eerie silence hung over the old farmhouse, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves, stirred by an unseen breeze. Strange shadows flickered across the cracked walls, as if the house itself held secrets desperate to be uncovered. Every creak of the floorboards echoed like a whispered warning. While outside, the distant howl of a lone wolf sent chills down the spine. Something was undeniably wrong, a hidden truth lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to unravel. The air grew thick with anticipation as unexplained lights danced in the darkness, and the townsfolk's hushed rumors spoke of an ancient curse that no one dared to challenge. Each strange occurrence piled upon the last, weaving a tangled web of mystery that pulled the reader deeper into the story, craving to know what sinister forces were at play. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important alert. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, drop that powerful like that helps me so much. With the algorithm! Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video comments and get yours now. Chapter 2: The Shattering Truth. The silence in the old farmhouse felt heavier now. It bore down on Julia like a thick blanket. She clutched the railing, her heart racing. Shadows danced around her, conspiratorial whispers masked in the creaks of aged wood. She felt watched, trapped between the walls that seemed to breathe dread. But fear wasn't all she felt. There was something else. Hope mixed with dread, a concoction that made her head spin. Suddenly, with a heavy thud, the front door swung wide open. The rush of wind blew through the house, snuffing out the flickering candles, plunging it into darkness. The cold air sent shivers racing down her spine. Her pulse quickened as she squinted into the inky blackness. A figure emerged, and the chilling silhouette of Aiden, the millionaire farmer, stepped inside. Julia! His voice was hoarse, filled with urgency. Her chest tightened at the sight of him, but confusion knotted her stomach. Panic swept through her. What was he doing here? I need to talk to you, now, he insisted, his expression grave, eyes glinting like steel. Shadows played tricks on her mind. Had she ever really known him? We can't talk here, she shouted back, glancing toward the window. The stories of the townsfolk echoed in her mind. The curse, the haunting, the secrets. It's not safe. No, listen. You have to trust me, Julia. He moved closer, and she felt the heat radiating off him. His urgency wrapped around her, pulling her into the tidal wave of emotions. But before she could respond, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A low rumble shook the very foundation of the house. Julia stumbled backward. "What was that?" she gasped, eyes wide with terror. Aiden's face paled. "We have to get out." He grabbed her wrist, and she could feel the warmth of his hand, tinged with an unmistakable desperation. Just as they reached the doorway, a deafening crack echoed through the air. A beam from the ceiling splintered, sending dust and debris raining down like confetti. They ducked instinctively, scrambling away from the collapsing entrance. In that moment of chaos, a hidden trap door burst open in the floor, revealing a dark abyss below. Julia gasped, fear coursing through her veins. What lay beneath the house? "Julia, we need to—" But she was frozen in place, her gaze fixed on what was slipping into view from the darkness below. A dusty, leather-bound book, ancient and weathered, its cover bearing a strange insignia that glinted ominously. "Aiden, what is that?" He hesitated, eyes darting between the book and her. It's something I was trying to hide." "What do you mean?" Her chest tightened, a lump forming in her throat. The pieces began to fit together, but the image they formed sent chills down her spine. With trembling hands, Aiden pulled her closer. "It contains the truth about my family, about us." The ground trembled again, but her heart raced for another reason. "Us? Julia, I'm not who you think I am." His voice faltered, and Julia's breath caught. "What do you mean?" she whispered, though she feared the answer. I can't explain now, but if we don't leave—" His words hung in the air, cloaked in a fear that turned her insides to ice. Suddenly, a distant voice echoed through the chaos. "Get away from her!" They both turned to see an unfamiliar figure silhouetted against the flickering light. A woman, fierce and determined, her stance protective. Julia's heart raced, confusion swirling, as she recognized her. It was Sarah, Aiden's rumored ex-girlfriend, who had vanished mysteriously months ago. Before any words could be exchanged, a blinding flash erupted from the trapdoor, and as it consumed the room, it felt as if time had stopped. Screams echoed, and shadows danced wildly, merging with bursts of light. Everything went white, and as the light faded, Julia found herself standing alone in the old farmhouse. Aiden was gone. The door still flung open, but the ominous book lay at her feet, calling out with its ancient promises, a power waiting to be unleashed. What had really happened? Was it a warning or a beginning? Chapter 3: The Unraveling Thread. Julia stood in the silence, her heart racing, the ancient book lying ominously at her feet. Desperation clawed at her throat as she reached for it. The cover felt cold, yet her hand trembled with heat. Excitement fighting fear. What secrets did it hold? And where had Aiden gone? She felt a sudden rush of wind swirl around her, chilling her skin like icy fingers. Shadows flickered in corners, whispering of secrets left unspoken. She took a step back, her body urging her to flee, but curiosity anchored her. Drawing a shaky breath, she squatted down, brushing dust off the book's surface. A deep crack split the air like thunder. Julia's heart jolted. She turned her head just in time to see the trapdoor close, sealing off what lay below, as if the house itself were breathing a sigh of relief. Panic gripped her. What had happened to Aiden? Focus, Julia, she muttered to herself. What do you need to do? Before she could answer, a harsh voice broke through the tension. Drop it! Now! Startled, Julia spun around. The woman she saw earlier, Sarah, stood there, eyes wild, but now she held a gun. Its gleaming barrel caught the faint light, creating a stark contrast against the gloomy backdrop. Sarah? Julia gasped, disbelief pooling in her stomach. Why are you... What's happening here? Just put the book down, Julia, Sarah snapped, her voice sharp as broken glass. Sweat glistened on her forehead, framing panic. That betrayed her calm facade. You don't know what you're messing with. I don't care, Julia shot back, her heart thrumming loudly. Where's Aiden? What do you know? Enough! Sarah stepped closer, eyes narrowing. He's not the man you think he is. And that book? She faltered, the gun wavering slightly. You have no idea. It's cursed, and he's tied to it, more than you can imagine. Mysteries don't scare me. Julia's voice trembled, but she fought to sound brave. Tell me the truth, or I swear. Or you'll what? Sarah's expression shifted from rage to something softer. Regret? You have no idea what's at stake. Aiden isn't just some farmer. He's connected to what happened to me. What happened to you? The words slipped out before Julia could hold them back. It's not just that. Aiden's family has a shadow over this town, Sarah said, anguish spilling out. What you've seen is just the beginning of it. The truth lies in that book. Julia's grip tightened around the ancient tome. You're the one who disappeared, aren't you? Sarah looked away, pain etching her features. And Aiden's involved in a lot more than just farming. The money, the land, it's all built on secrets. And if you keep digging, you could lose everything, including yourself. The weight of Sarah's words crashed into Julia, suffocating her. Questions spiraled in her mind, the very fabric of everything she thought she knew about Aiden unraveling before her eyes. What do you mean? Things aren't always what they seem. Sarah's voice wavered again. I tried to warn him. He didn't listen, and now... Her expression hardened, an odd mix of fear and determination. I won't let it happen to you, too. A flicker of understanding ignited in Julia's chest. Could Aiden be linked to Sarah's disappearance? Was he the monster hiding behind the mask of charm? The ground trembled once more, shaking them out of the moment. The walls creaked, shadows looming ominously around them. In that instant of distraction, Sarah's hands slipped, the gun clattering to the floor. A spark of fear ignited in Julia as time seemed to pause. Get away! Julia yelled, lunging for the gun, her fingers brushing against it, just as Sarah lunged forward, desperation written across her face. You don't understand. Then it happened. The house shuddered violently, answering the call of the unknown beneath, and the wall beside them splintered, revealing an old, torn tapestry depicting a horrific scene. A family in anguish, shadows dancing around them. Julia's breath hitched as she realized the figures looked eerily familiar, each marked with the same insignia as the book. Is that? But before she could finish, the tapestry seemed to come alive, a strange energy pulsing from it. Again, in the pitch black, A voice echoed, visceral and haunting. Welcome back to the truth. And in that moment, Julia understood. The story was far from over, and nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 4: The Shattering Revelation. In the pitch black, Julia felt her world tipping. The echoing voice slithered around her like smoke, wrapping her in a chilling embrace. Welcome back to the truth. The weight of those words pierced her chest, a pulse of anxiety firing through her veins. Suddenly, the tremors began again, stronger now, a ferocious shake that sent dust raining down from the ceiling. The wallpaper peeled back, revealing more faded patterns and a glint of something metallic. Her heart raced as the shadows pulsed, a grotesque dance teasing the edges of her vision. With a surge of adrenaline, Julia gripped the ancient book tightly. This had to mean something. The tapestry behind her roared with life, colors swirling before her eyes, tugging at the corners of her mind. What did it want? And then, from the depths of the darkness, a scream pierced the air. It was sharp, tearing through the chaos. Sarah. The gun had clattered, forgotten. As Sarah stumbled backward, her face twisted in shock. Julia turned just in time to see a shape rushing toward her, and she braced herself for impact. But then, the world splintered. The ground beneath them erupted as the entire floor caved in, with a thunderous crack, swallowing shadows whole. Sarah's scream faded into the void, panic spearing through Julia's heart. She couldn't think. She couldn't breathe. The air around her crackled, and the darkness seemed to pulse. And then, a light, a blinding beam shot up from the pit, illuminating the chaos swirling around them. It slid like liquid fire, casting everything in an otherworldly glow. And as it intensified, she saw figures emerging from the light. People she recognized, faces contorted with emotions, fear, rage, betrayal. "Mama?" she gasped, dread pooling in her stomach. The figures stood there, solid and real, as if time had bent around her. Julia's mother, lost to memories. What? How? "Julia, you must listen." Her mother's voice came, fierce yet elegant, yet it echoed like a memory from a distant past. "You have to leave this place. It's not what you think." "What do you mean?" Julia clutched the book tightly, her heart a whirlwind. "I don't understand." "Your father, Aiden, they're linked. The land, the curse, it's an inheritance of darkness. The family holds a secret that stretches back generations." Every word struck Julia like a slap. Confusion morphed into shock. Aiden's family? Her heart thundered as her mother's eyes shimmered with urgency. "They have used you as part of a sacrifice, to hold on to their wealth." The revelation hit her like a brick. Her pulse quickened, pounding in her ears. Could Aiden be involved in something so vile? Just then, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Sarah reappeared from the edge of the light, breathing heavily, wide eyes darting. "It's true, Julia," she shouted, anguish lining her features. "I tried to protect you, but you have to trust me. He's not who you think he is. You're tied to this too." Julia's mind raced. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because," Sarah's voice cracked, "I thought I could spare you this fate." The room swirled, figures beckoning her closer as the floor continued to crumble. The walls moaned and shuddered, the very fabric of reality falling. Apart, shadows coiled around them like snakes, whispering wicked threats. Get away from her! Aiden's voice boomed through the chaos as he materialized from the swirling light. But he wasn't the same. His eyes held a dark gleam, a profound sadness, mixed with something else, something sinister. "Please, you don't understand," he cried, taking a step forward. But the shadows pulled back, threatening to consume him whole. "Get back!" Julia screamed, terror flooding her. "You've lied! Who are you really?" "I can explain," he shouted, desperation like barbed wire in his voice. But then, before anyone could move, the ground opened wide, and a gust of blinding light pulled everyone in, and just like that, they vanished. Julia gasped, and the world settled into a painful silence. She stood alone in the darkness, no sound, no light, just the terrifying echo of all that had been said. What had happened? What did it all mean? In that moment of chilling solitude, she understood that the battle had just begun, and this was only the beginning of the nightmare. What other secrets lay in wait, hidden deep beneath the surface? As the shadows stretched around her, she knew she was at the heart of it now. The truth was sharper than any knife. It cut deep. Chapter 5. The Grim Awakening. In the suffocating darkness, Julia stood stunned, the weight of silence pressing against her. The air was thick with dread, stealing her breath. Where was everyone? Aiden? Sarah? Had they all vanished into the void? Panic surged, throbbing like a drum in her chest. And then a flicker of light pierced through the blackness. It danced like a distant star, drawing her attention. She staggered towards it, each step heavy with uncertainty. As she moved, the air crackled around her, swirling with unseen energy, almost alive. Was the house awakening? The light grew brighter, shaping itself into a doorway. Beyond it, shadows lurked, twisting and writhing. Suddenly she felt a pull, an overwhelming force drawing her closer, closer, until she could no longer resist. She stumbled through the threshold, and the world exploded with color. Bright flowers burst into bloom, standing defiantly against the white walls of a disjointed version of the farmhouse she had known. Sunlight poured through enormous windows, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out, trying to pull her back into darkness. "What is this?" she whispered, startled by the beauty and chaos merging around her. But the beauty was misleading. In the midst of the vibrant scene, amidst the cheerful colors, stark horror emerged. Faces stared back at her from the walls. Faces that held sorrow, terror, despair. They were images caught in frames, screaming silently. Julia's heart raced. Something was painfully wrong. "Mama!" she cried, spanning the faces. Where was her mother? But all she felt was emptiness, a hollow echo of her shout. Then, like knives, words cut through the air. "You should have never come here!" A voice twisted with pain shattered the colorful facade. It was Aiden, but he stepped out of the shadows, no longer the charming farmer she knew. His eyes were dark pools filled with anguish and regret, glistening with unshed tears. "What's happening?" Julia was trembling now. Every instinct screamed to run, but her legs felt glued to the floor. "Aiden, what is this place?" He moved closer, anguish etched on his face. I tried to protect you. The book, it's not just a curse. It's a key. A key to the truth and a door to the darkness. What darkness? Before he could answer, a loud crash echoed from behind her. The wall shuddered, and suddenly the cheerful light shattered. Darkness crept back in, tendrils reaching towards her like clawed hands. A familiar scream filled the air. Sarah's voice was laced with terror. "Julia, get out! It's not safe!" Julia turned, heart pounding. Through the disintegrating doorway, she saw Sarah struggling, caught in a swirling vortex, her eyes wide with fear. "Sarah!" she yelled, agony clenching her heart. Aiden stepped back, eyes darting between Julia and the maelstrom that was consuming the room. "Get away from her!" he shouted, panic suffusing his tone. But before she could react, a figure burst forth from the shadows. Her mother! "Mama!" Julia cried out, relief flooding her. But as the figure stepped into the light, the joy turned to ice. Her mother stood there, eyes aglow with eerie energy, mouth twisted in a grim smile. "It's time, Julia," she said, voice cold and commanding. "You have to choose." Julia's breath caught in her throat. "Choose? What do you mean?" The shadows writhed behind her mother, pulsating with a life of their own. "You can join us," her mother continued, extending an otherworldly hand. "Or fight against it. But know this, there's a price for the truth. Aiden's been living a lie, and the only way out is through sacrifice." Horror twisted in Julia's gut. Could it be true? Aiden? A lie? The ground trembled beneath her, flickering light fading into darkness. Before she could respond, a sinister laugh echoed, bouncing off the walls like thunder. "Choose wisely, Julia." The shadows surged forward, swallowing Aiden in darkness. Julia screamed, reaching out, but her feet wouldn't move. Then everything collapsed. She found herself gasping in the chaos. Where was she? A chilling thought pierced through the panic. Could this all have been a setup? Was the love that felt real just an illusion? All clarity faded. Julia was left breathless, suspended between light and shadows, her heart pounding with unanswered questions. The truth felt just out of reach, yet it had a grip on me. Her like a vice. What had she really stepped into? And what would she have to sacrifice to uncover it? Chapter 6. The Beneath. The silence enveloped Julia like a dark cloak, heavy and suffocating. Every heartbeat echoed in her ears, a reminder of how alone she felt. Where was everyone? The light was gone, the air thick with despair. She looked around desperately, trying to find Aiden, trying to find Sarah, but nothing but shadows stared back. "Mama!" she cried. But there was only silence. Each second stretched, pulling her deeper into a chaotic whirl. A storm of confusion and fear raged inside her. What is happening? Then came a shift, a shudder beneath her feet. The floor seemed to pulse, vibrating with an energy that thrummed through her bones. She could feel it deep in her chest, a drum echoing a warning that the shift was just the beginning. As her breath quickened, a vision flickered at the edges of her mind. A dark visage, smirking, taunting her. It felt all too familiar, and then, through the chaos, came a sudden, maddening laughter, sharp and jarring. Julia turned to see Sarah standing there, eyes blazing with fury. Dragging herself free from the shadows, Not so fast, Julia. You don't get to leave. Sarah? Fear dripped through every syllable. What are you talking about? Before Sarah could answer, Aiden rushed forward, desperation plastered on his face. Don't listen to her, he shouted, voice raw with urgency. You have to trust me. Trust you? Sarah sneered, backs arched like wild animals. He's been lying to you from the start. Stop! Julia's hands shook, heart racing. What do you mean? It's not just the book, Sarah gasped, lunging closer. You have to understand. Aiden isn't who you think he is. He's part of a dark legacy. Aiden recoiled, his expression twisting with anger and hurt. You're wrong. I tried to keep you safe. From everything. From what, Aiden? Julia's voice trembled. What's the truth? But before she could breathe, the ground buckled again, sending a surge of air racing through the room. Julia clutched, her stomach as it sank in deep. This one felt different. A crack tore through the floor beneath them, a sinister fissure spreading like a spider's web, dark and hungry. Run! Aiden shouted. But the moment seemed to freeze. An image flickered in the darkness below. The tapestry, alive, with shadows creeping, faces twisted in anguish. Then, with a thunderous roar, it exploded upward, slashing through the air. The noise filled her head. A cacophony of screams. And then, from the shadows, a figure wrapped in darkness. Welcome back to the fold. Mama? Julia gasped, hope igniting unexpectedly. But as the figure emerged, her face extinguished that spark. It wasn't her mother. It was someone else entirely. A woman, cloaked in darkness, eyes glimmering with wicked intent. Claire, Aiden breathed, voice barely above a whisper. Did you think you could escape? Claire sneered, raising a hand. You've been so naive, dear Aiden. Julia has chosen. Chosen what? Julia felt a lump in her throat, dread tightening its grip. Chosen to join the legacy. Claire's smile grew. You see, sweet Julia, you're part of this family now, whether you like it or not. The power, the curse, it runs through your veins. No! Aiden cried, stepping forward. I won't let you! But Claire waved him off, dismissing him as if he were nothing. You're weak, Aiden. You can't stop it. Julia is the key, and she'll unlock the... The ground beneath them trembled violently, and Julia collapsed, clutching the ancient book for dear life. What do you mean? The words hung in the air, thick with tension. Aiden's eyes widened, a mix of fear and desperation swirling within them. Julia, don't listen! But Claire stepped toward Julia. Accept the truth, sweet girl. You want answers? Be one with the shadows. Let go of your light. And just like that, the darkness surged forward, swallowing her whole, blinding her. Julia screamed, but it was lost in the chaos. As her vision faded, the world around her shifted. She felt the heat of an ancient power awakening, a light flickering deep within her, crying to be set free. What had she become? As everything dissolved, the last thing she saw was Aiden's horrified face, and then darkness. What lay waiting in the shadows, and what secrets would finally unfold? Chapter 7: The Unexpected Truth. The darkness wrapped around Julia like an icy shroud, swallowing her whole. She felt weightless, suspended in a void. Panic gripped her heart. Was this the end? The shadows wrapped tighter, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Then, everything jolted. The blackness ripped apart like a curtain, and she plunged through. She landed softly on a cool floor, gasping. The air smelled of damp earth and old wood. Reality flooded back. Where was she? It took a moment for her eyes to adjust. The room was small and dimly lit. She blinked, trying to make sense of it. A faint glow flickered from an old lantern hung on the wall. The walls were lined with bookshelves filled with dusty tomes. Then her heart stopped. A familiar face loomed just ahead. "Aiden?" she breathed, relief washing over her. But something was wrong. His expression was twisted, eyes wild, face pale. He looked haunted. "Julia, you shouldn't be here," he stammered, backing away. "What do you mean? What is this place?" Suddenly, the ground shook again. But this time it felt different, more like a heartbeat than an earthquake. Aiden was staring at the ground, sweat trickling down his temple. "It's awakening." "Awakening? What are you talking about?" Desperation clawed at her. "Where's Sarah?" His gaze flicked away, flickering with pain. "I don't know. I lost her." The dim light swelled, and once again, Julia felt it. The lurking energy, the pulse of something ancient, something dark. She took a step back, heart thudding against her ribcage. "This place, it feels alive," she whispered, fear creeping in. "There are things here, Julia, things that should never be disturbed," he said, voice trembling. "I thought I could keep you safe, but now—" His eyes glistened. "What do you mean? What's the truth?" Before he could respond, a deafening roar echoed through the room. Books trembled on the shelves. Dust, falling like a storm. "Get down!" Aiden shouted. She crouched instinctively, heart racing. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall silhouette wrapped in darkness. Julia's breath caught. "Julia!" Sarah's voice rang out, frenzied and fierce. "Get away from him!" "Sarah? What are you doing?" As Sarah rushed forward, the dark figure lunged. Aiden pushed Julia aside and she stumbled. The room exploded with light and sound. Everything blurred. But when her vision cleared, something shifted in the air. Aiden was standing between them, panting, eyes wild. "Stand back!" he shouted, urgency flaring. "You can't let her in!" "Let me in?" Sarah sneered, eyes alive with fire. "You think you can protect her forever, Aiden?" "The truth is coming out!" Julia felt a chill crawl up her spine. Something inside her awakened, a whisper of fear. "What truth?" Then, like a trigger, the dark figure shrieked, sounding almost human. "You think you can hide your ties forever?" it howled. "You all belong to the shadows now." Aiden took a step back, trembling. "No, this can't be happening." Suddenly, with an intense brightness, the dark figure lunged forward. Julia squinted, seeing twisted features, eyes that looked familiar, terrifyingly familiar. It couldn't be. The figure solidified in the light, revealing a face that made her stomach drop. Her own face. "Aiden, what is happening?" she gasped, her mind racing. "Why is there another me?" "It's a reflection." "Of your darkness," he breathed, horror etching itself deeper into his expression. "Everything you fought against, it thrives here." "No, I'm not like that." She felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "Are you sure?" he pressed. "Do you even know who you are?" Before she could answer, the figure lunged again, and Julia reflexively reached out. Their hands collided with a shocking force, and suddenly, a surge of energy shattered the room. Images flashed, memories, fears, every hidden shame. She was drowning in her own self. The laughter of her past echoed, secrets she had buried thrumming to life. Then it all stopped. The dark figure froze, grinning wickedly. You will never escape what you truly are, Julia. What did that mean? What was she meant to confront? In that heartbeat, everything shifted. The room spun on its axis, and Julia felt herself being pulled into the blinding light. The last thing she heard was Aiden's desperate cry, "Julia!" And the darkness swallowed the room whole. Now she was left hanging in the oblivion. Who was she really? What truth awaited her in the shadows? Chapter 8: The Shattering Awakening. The darkness enveloped Julia, pulling her into its suffocating embrace. She felt weightless, suspended in the void, and panic clawed at her throat. Then everything jolted. The blackness ripped apart, and she tumbled through the chaos. She landed softly on a cool floor, gasping. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and old wood. A flickering lantern cast eerie shadows, and as her eyes adjusted, she saw Aiden standing in front of her, but his face was shadowed with fear. "Julia, you shouldn't be here," he whispered, taking a step back. "What do you mean? What is this place?" The urgency in her voice sank deep. "The heart of the house is awakening," he said, eyes darting to the shadows. "It's dangerous." "Where's Sarah?" she asked, desperation clawing at her. "I couldn't save her," he muttered, his voice quaking. Before she could grasp what that meant, the ground trembled violently, the pulse beneath her feet growing stronger. What was it? A heartbeat? A growl? A cacophony of whispers retorted from the walls, a chorus of secrets clamoring to be heard. "Get away!" Aiden shouted, narrowing his eyes at the shadows gathering around them. Julia turned, the fear swirling in her chest, and then she saw it, a dark, twisted figure, forming from the shadows. It lunged at Aiden, who cried out, "No!" Time seemed to stand still. A powerful energy surged through the room, pushing Julia back. A soft gasp escaped her lips, and then it happened. The dark figure morphed, revealing a face she knew all too well. Her own face stared back, twisted with malice and smirking at her. "Welcome home, Julia." It hissed. "What?" Panic seized her. "This can't be!" "It can," the figure taunted. "You think you can escape what you truly are?" "Stop!" She stumbled backward, her heart racing. Then, as if a switch had flipped, something inside her awakened. A tidal wave of memories crashed over her, secrets buried beneath layers of denial. "No!" she gasped. The dark version of her grinned wider, revealing the truth she had tried to ignore. Aiden's voice broke through. "Julia, don't listen to it. It's a reflection of your fears." But it was too late. A bolt of recognition hit her. "You're part of me," she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. "A part I wanted to forget." The dark Julia laughed, a sound that echoed like thunder. "You think you can deny your legacy? You carry a darkness that destiny demands. You and I are one. Seek your power. Embrace your truth." Before she could react, the ground split open, the shadows swirling like a storm. From the chasm emerged an ancient presence, a voice like gravel, deep and echoing. Julia, awaken the blood of your ancestors. This is impossible, she shouted, but it echoed hollow in the chaos. Suddenly, the air shifted. The ground beneath her rumbled again, shaking the walls. Whatever was hidden was desperate to break free. The shadows twisted and writhed, reaching for her, and then she realized it. The truth was not just hers. Aiden surged forward, trying to reach her. "Do not op!" But like lightning, the dark figure stretched out a hand, intertwining its fingers with the shadows, declaring dominion over them. "You will not take her from me." Without warning, the shadows seized Aiden, pulling him into the abyss. His scream pierced her heart, a jagged twist of desperation. "Julia, don't let this happen!" Terror gripped her, and just as she was about to make a choice, the truth crashed down with devastating clarity. The legacy she thought was only Aiden's was hers in her bones. "Welcome to your true self. This is only the beginning." A sudden light burst forth, blinding her, and as everything dissolved, Julia felt her vision clearing. She gasped, realization crashing into her like a wave. Was she truly ready to embrace what she had always been afraid of? Or would she lose everything, including Aiden? The shadows danced around her, whispering the truth she had avoided. What lay ahead, and what price would she pay to uncover it? As questions swirled in her mind, one thing became chillingly clear. There was no turning back. Chapter 9: The Unraveling Shadows. Everything around Julia flickered. The blinding light consumed her as panic clawed up her throat. She thought she understood. She thought she knew who she was, what she had become. But now things felt different. The shadows lurked closer, pulsing, breathing like a living creature. Aiden's face twisted with fear, his eyes wild, as if desperately trying to hold on to something slipping away. "Julia!" he shouted, his voice trembling. "Don't give in to it!" But the dark figure loomed larger, its cruel grin stretching wider. "Embrace the truth, Julia. You're more than you've ever allowed yourself to be." She shook her head, fighting back tears. "No, I don't want any part of this." The dark Julia laughed, a sound that echoed with malice and mockery. "But you have no choice. This is your legacy." The ground beneath her shook violently, as if the very foundations were screaming to be freed. She stumbled, catching herself on the edge of a dusty table. Just then, an overwhelming wave washed over everything, a feeling of being watched. Suddenly, a loud crack exploded through the room. The ceiling split open, spilling dust and debris. Julia ducked, heart racing. And then she heard it, a whispered name that sent chills down her spine. Julia. Her breath caught. That voice. It was her mother's. "Mom?" From the chaos, a figure emerged, shrouded in light. Julia's heart raced as the light flickered and dimmed, revealing not just her mother, but also a man she recognized. Aiden's face paled. "Dad?" His voice was barely a whisper. Julia's stomach twisted. "What?" The figure advanced, now clearly visible. "You have awakened what was meant to stay hidden," her mother said, her eyes gleaming with something sinister. "Your blood binds you to this place, Julia, and this is your true lineage." "What do you mean?" Julia's voice trembled. "What are you talking about?" But her mother just smiled, a cold, calculating smile that didn't belong on her familiar face. Your choices have made you a vessel. The darkness is part of our family's power, and it's time for you to take your place. No, Aiden's voice burst through the tension. You can't do this. Watch me, dear son, her mother hissed, the words dripping with venom. You have no idea what we can achieve together. The dark Julia flickered, eyes narrowing as she stared at her mother. You're not here for her, are you? You want the power for yourself. Panic surged through Aiden. No, you don't understand. Julia is not like us. But Julia still stood frozen, shock creasing her features. Everything she thought she knew about family unraveled like loose threads, and the ground felt too unsteady beneath her feet. Join us, Julia, her mother beckoned, reaching out a hand that shimmered. Together, we can reshape this world. It's your destiny. As Julia's heart raced, a tingling sensation washed over her, pulling her closer. In that moment, she saw flashes of her childhood, screaming shadows lurking in her room, whispered warnings silenced beneath layers of denial. The hard truth crashed down like thunder. Her past was waking up. Don't! Aiden yelled, stepping forward. His expression morphed from panic to recklessness. You can't trust her, Julia! But the shadows wrapped around her mother, bending the light. Julia looked back at Aiden's pleading eyes and felt warmth bloom within her chest. Please, don't let her control you, he pleaded. You are stronger than this. Suddenly, the darkness erupted. Two figures crashed against each other. The dark figure and Julia's mother. A fierce battle broke out, filling the room with chaos. Screams echoed. Shadows clawing at every corner. Aiden lunged for Julia, grabbing her hand. We need to go! But before they could move, her mother's face twisted in rage. You think you can just escape? You can't abandon what's meant to be yours. In a flash, the dark Julia turned to them, laughter ringing out. Did you really think this was about you? The ground trembled again, and suddenly, with a blinding flash, everything fell silent. Julia found herself back in the original farmhouse, standing beneath the crackling ceiling. Aiden turned, eyes wide with shock. What just happened? A deep silence lingered as Julia's breath hitched. The truth unfurled before her like a map she never wanted to. Read, if this was only the beginning, lurking just below the surface, what else would be waiting for her? And who could she really trust now? Chapter 10, The Final Choice. The dust settled, swirling slowly around Julia in the eerie stillness of the farmhouse. Her heart pounded like a war drum, echoing in the silence that hung heavy in the air. Aiden's desperate face flickered in front of her, eyes wide with fear, but also hope. Julia, you have to understand the truth, he pleaded, stepping forward. Your mother, she's manipulating everything. With every word, the shadows around them pulsed like a heartbeat. Julia felt the weight of her heritage crushing her spirit. I don't. You know what to believe anymore. Aiden's expression hardened. You have to choose, Julia. Don't let them pull you into their darkness. Choose what? Julia's voice trembled, feeling the suffocating presence of her mother's shadow looming over her. What does that even mean? But just then, her dark reflection stepped closer, a mocking smile curling its lips. You're at the brink, Julia. You can embrace the power flowing in your veins, or you can lose everything. The choice is yours. A shiver ran down Julia's spine. The struggle felt insurmountable. She gazed into Aiden's eyes, searching for reassurance. His gaze flickered, filled with a resolve that ignited something in her chest. "Julia," he whispered, the urgency in his voice cutting through the chaos. "I believe in you. You're stronger than any dark legacy. Fight for yourself." For a moment, clarity pierced through her fear. The memories of laughter and joy, warmth and hope flashed in her mind, chasing the shadows. She remembered who she was, who she wanted to be. A roar erupted around them as the shadows darkened, ready to consume her whole. The walls trembled, imploding with rage. But Julia stood firm, grounding herself in her truth. "No," she shouted, her voice echoing, powerful and fierce. "I refuse to be a pawn. I choose my own path." The dark figure wavered, catching off guard. Aiden watched, awe and relief flooding his eyes. The moment sparked into a blinding light. Julia felt energy surging through her, igniting every cell in her body as she tapped into the strength of her ancestors. The room exploded with a brilliance that shattered the darkness. "Julia!" Aiden's shout rang out, hope spilling into every syllable. "Yes!" With that, she raised her hands, feeling the power pulse through her, a mix of light and shadow in perfect harmony. The chaos around her swirled, shadows twisting and retreating from the radiance she had summoned. And then, everything fell silent. No longer a curse, but a reminder of her strength. Aiden stepped toward her. "You did it! You faced them!" But the hug of relief was short-lived. The walls shuddered slightly, and a low voice echoed, long forgotten but ever present. "You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over." Julia swallowed hard, grounding herself. "I will always fight for what's right. The truth belongs to me." As the farmhouse settled into a calm, something shifted. Remnants of the dark legacy brushing against her thoughts. A lingering mystery hung in the air. The shadows may have faded, but their whispers remained. Julia grasped Aiden's hand, a lingering spark of hope lighting their path. "Forward. Together, we'll uncover the truth of this legacy. We'll make it right." The two exchanged a determined glance, ready to face the unknown, knowing the journey ahead would not be easy. But they would not face it alone. And as the farmhouse stood guard over its secrets, for the first time, Julia felt at peace. She understood that fighting against the darkness was not just about the shadows, but the light within. With a final glance at the ancient book, she whispered, "Let the next chapter begin." You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to show your support. Comment below with your reactions and theories about the ending. Flood the comment section. And don't wait another second to share this with at least 5 friends who have to know this conclusion. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video comments And get yours now.